Hello, this is Sudhir Kumar Dwivedi, Assistant Professor of Law from Gemtech School of Law, Greater Noida. The topic for today's lecture is Complaint under Section 138 of Negotiable Instrument Act 1881 under the subject Drafting, Pleading and Conveyancing. First of all, in this lecture we will try to understand what is the check bouncing, what are the ingredients of section 138 in short, because all these things you must have studied while you were studying this act. Here we will discuss in short what are the requirements for the filing of the complaint, and then we will see what is the structure of the complaint. So let's first of all try to understand what is the section. Over the years we know that many important changes has been brought in this act regarding the check bouncing by time to time, by the requirement of the time, or you can say by the requirement of the development. Various changes has been brought in the act, and we also know with the rapid change in commerce and trade, use of check also increased, and so the cases of the check bouncing also increased. The object of section 138 to 142 of the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881 is to promote the efficacy of banking operation and to ensure the credibility in transacting business through checks. First of all, try to understand that this detail which I am going to discuss is applicable on the check bouncing. So that is the dishonor of check. Regarding to section 138 of the act, the dishonor of check is a criminal offense and is punishable with by imprisonment up to 2 years or with monetary penalty or with both. So if the check bounce has taken place, then as per section 138 it is a criminal offense and it is punishable with imprisonment up to 2 years or with fine or with both. And it is, let's see what are the requirements, how this will go to file a complaint. First of all, we need to know that the payee has to send the notice to the drawer within 30 days from the date of receiving the check return memo from the bank. So if the bank has returned the check by indicating with the return memo that there is no sufficient amount or by of any reason that stop payment and all thing, if the check return memo has been received by the drawer, then in that case he has to send a notice within 30 days to the person who has issued the check. The notice should mention that the check amount has to be paid to the payee within 15 days from the date of receipt of the notice by the drawer. So it is important to understand here that it should be very specifically mentioned that within 50 days from the date of the receiving of the notice, the party has to pay the payment. Then after that, if the check issuer fails to make a fresh payment within 30 days of receiving the notice, the payee has the right to file a criminal complaint under section 138 of the Negotiable Instrument Act. However, the complaint should be registered in a magistrate court within a month of expiry of notice period. Suppose a notice has been given to the uh, person who has issued the check that you must pay the payment within 30 within 50 sorry within the 30 within 30 days, and if he fails to pay the payment within 30 days, in that case after that 30 days the person has to file a complaint within the expiry of 1 month. That is the procedure. Now let's see the condition for the prosecution. First of all, it is to be understand that legally certain conditions have to be fulfilled in order to use the provisions of section 138. The first one is that the check should have been drawn by the drawer on an account maintained by him. And number two, the check should have been returned or dishonored because of insufficient fund in the drawer's account. Number third, the check is issued towards discharge of a debt or any legal liability. After that, after receiving the notice, if the drawer doesn't make the payment within 15 days from the date of receiving the notice, then he commits an offense punishable under section 138 of Negotiable Instrument Act. It is important to understand which court have jurisdiction. So it has been decided that the DRI can register the complaint in a court within whose local jurisdiction limits or jurisdiction any of the following incident has taken place. Like, first one, place where the check was drawn. Second, place where the check was presented. Third, place where the bank returned the check. And the fourth place will be where the notice of demand of payment was served by the DRI. Now let's see what will be the structure of the complaint in regard to the check bouncing cases. First of all, it is to be understood that it is a criminal offense. So it will be little different from the drafting of the civil matter. Let's see how the complaint in regard to the section 138 will be drafted. First of all, it is to be mentioned in that in which court it has been to be filed. So it has been filed in the court of Chief Metropolitan Magistrate district. Again, the name of the district like Sadra, Saket, Dwarka, whatever is there, and then the state. Then the criminal complaint number of which state has and the year. After that, the complainant name, and again the full detail will come here like name, son of, gender, age and address. Then versus the person who has issued the check, his full detail will be, that is we can say here is the accused. The full detail of accused must be given, his name, son of, gender, age, address. Then in the right corner you have to mention which jurisdiction of the police station, in which uh, territorial jurisdiction of the police station the matter is happening. So in right corner you must mention the jurisdiction of the police station. After that, memo of parties should be attached in the complaint. Memo of the parties means whoever the parties, if there are one or two or three more parties, then the detail of all parties should be given. Like, suppose there is a three partner in any partnership firm, and a check has been issued in favor of three partners, and then all three will be the party. Then detail of the all three partners must be given, full detail of the all three partners must be given. And suppose the defendant or the respondent here is also not only one but rather than they are three, and all three are liable to for that thing. In that case, the detail of all three or two must be given. After filing of the memo of the parties, then it will start like that. Complaint under section 138 of the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881, and it must be mentioned that complainant above named most respectfully swear that the complainant is the owner. Suppose I am here taken an example in regard to the a check issued by the a person who to a landlord, to issue to a landlord mean the tenant has issued a check. So first of all it will come like that the complainant is the owner and landlord of flat bearing number so and then the address of the flat. After that, the second para will come like that the accused is a tenant under the complaint in respect of flat bearing so and so number comprising of so and so, means then you have to give the full detail of the house, and then what is the monthly rent must be mentioned, and If it is for the residential purpose, then also mention that it was for the residential purpose. And then you have to mention that you have attached the true copy of the registered lease deed with the complaint. After that, in third para you can mention like that on so and so that the accused handed over the check bearing number so and so of so and so amount and drawn in favor of so and of the bank detail of which bank the check has been issued. Then and you have to mention that this check was issued regarding the payment of the rent premises which has regarding the premises which has been given to the on rent to the person who has issued the check. And then you have to mention that in which after giving the detail of these things, then you have to mention that the original check copy has been attached, annexure A, B, whatever will be the number, you must have to mention that also. After that, you have to mention that the complainant deposited the said check account with so and so bank, New Delhi on so and so date, but the same was dishonored on presentation with the remarks refer to drawer. The original returning memo date so and so in respect of the said check is annexed here again. So the returning memo which has been issued by the bank must be annexed with the complaint, and you have to mention when you presented the check, when it was returned, and what was the reason mentioned by the bank. You have to mention that thing. After that, the next para will come that the while later on so and so date, complainant called the accused for the payment of the amount covered by the dishonored check. The said letter was sent to the accused with so and so registered AD. However, the accused failed to make the payment to the amount in question to the complainant. After that, you will say that the check is in question were returned unpaid because the amount standing to the credit to the accused account was insufficient to honor the check in question, and as such the accused is liable to be prosecuted and punished under section 138 of the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881 as amended up to date. Suppose you have filed any case complaint of dishonor of check and the matter is pending, and during the pendency of the check any amendment has taken place in the act, then you can write that whatever amendment has taken place till the date of this decision, the court should take into consideration that amendment as well. Then you have to mention in next para that the complainant has complied with all the requirements of the section 138 of Negotiable Instrument Act. And then you have to mention that namely the check in the question were presented on within the periods of its validity, means nowadays it is 3-month validity. So you have to mention that the check was presented within validity. Then demand for the payment was made on so and so date. Then the notice was issued on so and so date within 15 days of date of received the information regarding dishonor of the check. Then true copy of the said demand dated so and so is annexed here again. Whatever is the notice, whatever is the document which is required for the completion of the complaint, you must annex all the document with the complaint. Otherwise the complaint will not be, you can say, proper, and the court will not be able to file the court will not be able to give the judgment, because unless and until if the requirement of the document or the requirement of the section is not fulfilled, there will be no liability of the person who has issued the check. So all the things must be attached with the complaint. Then the all the detail, then the postal receipt also, and I have already discussed that all the things which is necessary requirement to complete the case or to support his case must be annexed. After that, then you have to mention that the accused failed to payment within 15 days of the notice. That's why the complainant has approached this honorable court. After that, you have to mention that the complainant is well within within limitation period, and then you give prescribed under the act, and then it will be better that you give the detail, like that date of dishonor, date of notice, date of filing on complaint, it will be easy for the court to understand the thing. Then that the honorable court has then again there will be a clause regarding the jurisdiction to entertain the case. The dishonored check was drawn in so and so bank in so at so and so place, and the same was deposited by the complainant in so and so bank, New Delhi, and the intimation regarding the dishonor of the check said was also given by the said bank, and as such the offence has been committed within the jurisdiction of this honorable court. So you have to give the complete detail where the check was issued, where it was presented, where the return memo was received, and this instance all it is falling in the jurisdiction of the court. That's why this honorable court is having a jurisdiction. Then in last there will be a prayer clause. In prayer clause it will be very specific, like that it is therefore most respectfully prayed that this honorable court may be pleased to summon the accused under section 138 of the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881 as amended up to date, and the accused be tried and punished in accordance with the law for the aforesaid offence committed by him. Then there will be there will be place, date, complainant sign through advocate. Then in last you can attach the document, and you can mention like that list of witnesses to be mentioned in the end of the complaint as or separately after writing the short title of the complaint case. So whatever the witnesses you must mention on a separate page. Then complainant, bankers of the complainant with record of the check, bankers of the accused with the record of the check, any other witness if needed as per the facts of the case. So it is required, it is good if you file the list of the witnesses in a separate page. Then after that the list of document is to be attached. I have already discussed various documents during the discussion. Now we can summarize it like that: original dishonored check, date, amount drawn on which date, then the original retaining memos of the Dravi Bank, date, copy of notice, postal and UPC receipt date, and envelope containing notice. And in last again the all thing must be affidavit is must to be attached with the complaint. That's all about the filing of the complaint when a check has been dishonored, and this were the structure and these were the requirements. Thank you.